the Goodnight bro phenomenon more than just a prank. A recent viral sensation has swept across social media platforms, particularly TikTok, the Goodnight prank. The premise is remarkably simple yet profoundly revealing. A man, often encouraged by his wife or girlfriend, makes a phone call to his male friends or relatives with the sole purpose of wishing them good night. This seemingly innocuous gesture has, however, elicited a spectrum of reactions that range from outright bewilderment to genuine concern, sparking a conversation far deeper than the initial humor might suggest. The immediate responses captured in these videos often highlight confusion and disbelief. Friends on the receiving end are frequently heard exclaiming, "Why? Are you thinking of me for real?" or responding with a stunned, excuse me? Sweet dreams? Some reactions even convey a sense of alarm with questions like, "What do you mean good night? Like it was a threat?" These initial, often comical interactions quickly transition from lighthearted amusement to a more poignant reflection. The Goodnight prank videos are replete with varied yet strikingly consistent male reactions. Many men are visibly stunned, flabbergasted, or in shock when a male friend calls simply to say goodnight. This immediate disorientation is a common thread across numerous viral clips, including those featuring celebrities like Jake Paul calling streamer Aiden Ross, or Washington Commanders cornerback Mike Sainristil, reaching out to his NFL teammates. The universality of these reactions across diverse social circles underscores a deeply ingrained societal norm where such expressions are uncommon and unexpected among male friends. A significant portion of these responses includes genuine concern, with friends immediately assuming something is amiss. Comments such as, "What's happening? You need a hug?" are frequent, and in some instances, a friend has even called back out of concern, seeking reassurance that everything was all right given the out-of-character nature of the goodnight call. This immediate assumption of distress, rather than simple affection, highlights a profound underlying reality. When a male friend initiates an unprompted, affectionate gesture, the prevailing social conditioning leads to the conclusion that a crisis must be unfolding. The bewilderment, often expressed as "what the F***," is a reaction to a perceived violation of an unwritten social rule, while the follow-up, "Are you okay?" Some reactions even border on perceiving the call as a threat or suspecting ulterior motives. Responses like, "He thinks you're saying goodnight forever," or friends questioning, "Are definitely not outside my door, are you?" illustrate how unusual and unsettling simple, unprompted affection can be in male platonic relationships. One comment even humorously noted, "My boy would smack the shit out of me," further emphasizing the perceived breach of typical male interaction. This pattern of response indicates a systemic absence of casual emotional intimacy in male friendships, where even a benign expression of care is interpreted through a lens of suspicion or alarm. The public commentary accompanying these videos is equally telling. Viewers are not merely laughing at the awkwardness, they are expressing a profound recognition of a societal void and a collective yearning for change. Comments such as, "Proof men need more platonic love in their lives, and this is gonna heal the male loneliness epidemic," are overwhelmingly common. This widespread sentiment, often expressed as a desire to normalize this type of male behavior, reveals a collective societal yearning for a fundamental shift in male emotional expression and connection. The trend, often initiated by women, acts as a powerful mirror, showing men and society at large what is missing in male friendships and what could be gained by fostering more open, platonic affection. The virality and the enthusiastic public reception suggest that society is prepared for a redefinition of masculinity that embraces emotional openness and deeper platonic bonds, indicating a powerful organic pushback against ingrained norms. Chapter 2: The Invisible Chains, Societal and Familial Conditioning. The widespread bewilderment observed in response to the Goodnight prank is not an arbitrary phenomenon. It is a direct consequence of centuries of societal and familial conditioning that has shaped male emotional expression. The ideal of the stiff upper lip, often associated with modern masculinity, is not an innate trait but a cultural construct that has waxed and waned throughout history. Historically, men were widely expected to express emotions, including crying, as depicted in biblical figures and Greek heroes like Achilles. A significant shift began during the Renaissance, influenced by Stoic philosophy. In the 16th and 17th centuries, elite men were increasingly expected to command their emotions to demonstrate self-control and leadership. This ideal, where emotional restraint was equated with power and capability, later hardened, particularly after the English Revolution, when public displays of spiritual tears became associated with fanaticism. The Victorian era further solidified this emotional repression, with institutions like public schools explicitly designed to instill such behavioral values. This historical trajectory cultivated the strong, silent type ideal, embodied by figures like Clint Eastwood or James Bond, where a lack of emotional expression has long been a hallmark of traditional masculinity. This historical evolution of masculinity, particularly the emphasis on Stoicism, directly laid the cultural groundwork for the modern-day suppression of male emotions. The shift from acceptable male crying to the stiff upper lip was not random. It was tied to power, control, and societal expectations of leadership. This historical ideal then became the script for how boys are raised. These historical ideals are actively reinforced and internalized through pervasive messages passed down through generations. From a young age, boys are frequently bombarded with phrases like, "Man up," "Boys don't cry," and "Don't be so sensitive." These seemingly innocuous phrases create an environment where emotional expression is perceived as a liability rather than a strength. Consequently, men learn to bottle up their emotions, avoiding vulnerability at all costs. This gendered social learning teaches boys that showing vulnerability is difficult and uncomfortable, a message often reinforced by peers and even women in their lives. The family, particularly the father figure, plays a critical role in perpetuating these norms. Research indicates that men often originate from families where hegemonic ideals of masculinity, emphasizing strength and emotional stoicism, were practiced. Emotionally distant or abusive fathers can instill feelings of rejection, sadness, and anger in their sons, yet these profound issues often remain unaddressed due to gender-related constraints on expression. The absence of a positive and healthy male role model for emotional regulation in childhood is identified as a high-risk factor for men struggling with mental health. For example, Lowell's personal account illustrates how childhood experiences, including witnessing his father's mental health struggles and internalizing the "big boys don't cry" mantra, directly contributed to his own emotional suppression and later, severe depression. It is a profound irony that while the historical justification for male stoicism often included the idea of preventing violent outbursts, contemporary evidence demonstrates a stark contradiction. Emotional suppression, far from fostering control, actually contributes to anger management problems, aggressive behavior, and even mass violence. The strong silent type, intended to embody control and prevent chaos, is now linked to increased aggression. Research clearly shows that bottling up emotions leads to them overflowing in unhealthy ways, such as irritable outbursts or aggressive behavior and even mass violence. This means the very cultural mechanism designed to control male aggression is, in fact, fueling it. This profound contradiction implies that the historical and cultural narrative around male emotional control is not only outdated, but actively harmful, necessitating a complete reevaluation of what constitutes strength and masculinity. The pervasive societal conditioning that encourages male emotional suppression carries severe consequences, manifesting as a silent epidemic of mental health issues, widespread loneliness, and strained relationships. While approximately 1 in 10 men report experiencing anxiety or depression, this figure is likely a significant underrepresentation. Men are notably less likely than women to report mental health issues or to seek treatment, often presenting with physical symptoms like fatigue and irritability rather than acknowledging underlying sadness or hopelessness. A particularly alarming statistic underscores the gravity of this issue. Men are almost 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women among young adults aged 20 to 24. This disparity widens, with males being 5 times more likely to die by suicide than women. Adherence to traditional masculine norms, particularly emotional suppression and stoicism, is a significant factor contributing to this increased risk. Furthermore, substance misuse, including alcohol and drugs, is approximately twice as prevalent in men compared to women, and is frequently employed as self-medication to numb emotional pain, thereby delaying healthy emotional development. The disproportionately high suicide rates among men, especially young men, coupled with their tendency to use more lethal methods, reveals a critical failure in how society addresses male mental health. This suggests that emotional suppression does not just lead to suffering, but to a deadly form of silent suffering where men are not only less likely to seek help, but when they do act, are more likely to choose irreversible paths. This implies that current mental health interventions are insufficient if they do not specifically address the unique cultural barriers faced by men. This emotional suppression directly fuels what many experts refer to as the male loneliness epidemic. The statistics are stark. Only 27% of men report having 6 close friends, a sharp decline from 55% in 1995. A staggering 15% of men claim to have no close friends at all, an increase of 12% since 1990. A majority of millennial and Gen Z men express feeling that no one really knows me well, indicating a profound lack of deep, confiding connections rather than mere social isolation. While some debate the precise definition of an epidemic due to similar loneliness rates observed in women, the quality of male connections often lacks emotional depth, as men are often not great at connecting. The consequences of chronic loneliness are severe, comparable to the health risks associated with smoking and obesity, including an increased risk of premature death, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, dementia, and sleep disorders. The societal conditioning of male emotional suppression directly causes the male loneliness epidemic and exacerbates mental health crises. If men are taught that sharing feelings is weakness, they cannot form the deep, intimate connections necessary for true friendship, leading to smaller social networks and a profound sense of being unknown. This emotional isolation, in turn, is a significant driver of increased anxiety, depression, and alarmingly high suicide rates among men. The initial reactions to the Goodnight prank are a direct, albeit humorous, manifestation of this underlying emotional disconnect. The impact of bottled-up emotions extends significantly to personal relationships. Emotional suppression hinders effective communication, leading to misunderstandings and unresolved conflicts. The analogy of a pressure cooker vividly describes how emotions build up internally, and without healthy release, they can explode as irritable outbursts or aggressive behavior. In extreme cases, this can tragically manifest as domestic partner abuse. This pervasive inability to show vulnerability impedes the development of meaningful, long-lasting relationships, and can result in a profound sense of emotional detachment from loved ones. Chapter 4. Breaking the Mold. Embracing Vulnerability and Platonic Love. Overcoming the deeply ingrained patterns of male emotional suppression requires a fundamental redefinition of strength and a conscious embrace of vulnerability and Platonic love. The outdated notion that strength equates to silence is being increasingly challenged. True strength, as contemporary understanding suggests, lies in acknowledging emotions, seeking support, and building deeper connections. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is, in fact, a crucial component of men's wellness and a strength that deepens trust among friends. This paradigm shift necessitates cultivating emotional literacy from a young age, teaching boys that expressing a wide range of emotions does not compromise their masculinity. Deep, non-romantic male friendships are not merely beneficial, they are vital for well-being. Historically, the stigma and misunderstandings surrounding platonic intimacy between men have significantly hindered the formation of these crucial connections. The pervasive use of phrases like no homo has been a significant barrier, creating a societal blind spot where deep, non-romantic male bonds are either misinterpreted as romantic or dismissed as weak. This cultural void, coupled with the fear of being perceived as girly and gay, actively prevents men from pursuing the very connections that could alleviate their loneliness and improve their mental health. Platonic love, in its essence, can be intimate and affectionate but not sexual, and it is essential to recognize its profound commitment, akin to the bond shared with a sibling. Encouraging healthy expressions of platonic affection involves fostering open communication, engaging in shared activities, and respecting individual comfort levels regarding physical touch. The difficulty authors face in portraying platonic male friendships without them being misread as romantic is not merely a literary challenge. It reflects a broader societal inability to categorize and value deep, non-sexual male intimacy. Several pathways can facilitate this transformative change. Normalizing professional help, such as therapy and counseling, is paramount. These spaces offer men a safe environment to explore emotions, challenge negative beliefs, and develop healthier coping strategies. The observed increase in men seeking emotional help during the COVID-19 pandemic indicates a potential shift in help-seeking behaviors when faced with unprecedented crises. Men's support groups also serve as highly effective interventions, providing a safe space to reconstruct traditional masculinity norms and fostering open emotional sharing and connection among peers. Beyond formal support, individual practices can significantly contribute to this shift. Encouraging daily habits such as being honest about one's feelings, sharing thoughts with loved ones, embracing therapeutic hobbies like journaling, meditation, or exercise, and actively learning about emotional intelligence can empower men to navigate their emotional landscape more effectively. Critically, challenging toxic masculinity beliefs when encountered, both personally and socially, is vital. Friends and family play a key role in supporting men to embrace emotional masculinity by actively dismissing harmful stereotypes. Furthermore, parents and educators have a crucial responsibility to normalize boys' desires for friendships and emotional intelligence from a young age, prioritizing kindness and empathy over solely academic achievement. The Goodnight prank trend, despite its humorous premise, serves as an accidental, large-scale social experiment demonstrating the profound hunger for platonic male affection and the immediate, albeit confused, positive impact it can have. The virality of the prank and the overwhelming public desire to normalize this type of male behavior indicate that society is prepared for a significant shift. The prank, by forcing a simple act of unexpected platonic affection, brings to light the existing emotional void in male friendships and the surprisingly positive, albeit initially confused, reception. This suggests that small, seemingly trivial acts can indeed spark significant cultural shifts, creating a ripple effect that encourages more men to explore and embrace deeper, more emotionally expressive platonic bonds, ultimately fostering a healthier, more connected society. Conclusion: a new dawn for masculinity, the call to connect. What began as a lighthearted TikTok trend, the Goodnight prank, has inadvertently unveiled a profound truth about male emotional expression and the deep human need for connection. The awkward, confused, and often concerned reactions observed were not indicative of rudeness, but rather a direct consequence of a lifetime of societal and familial conditioning that has historically discouraged emotional vulnerability and platonic affection among men. This conditioning, rooted in centuries of evolving masculine ideals, has unfortunately led to a silent crisis of mental health issues, pervasive loneliness, and strained relationships. However, the widespread public embrace of this trend, coupled with the desire to normalize such interactions, signals a pivotal moment. It underscores a collective yearning for a fundamental redefinition of masculinity, one that recognizes and values emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and authentic connection as true strengths. Breaking these entrenched cycles is not only possible but profoundly beneficial for individuals and society at large. The path forward involves a conscious effort to dismantle outdated norms. It requires men to embrace their full emotional spectrum, to courageously be vulnerable, and to actively seek out and nurture deep, platonic connections with other men. This is not about diminishing masculinity. It is about expanding it, allowing men to be more fully human. For all members of society, both men and women, the call to action is clear. Let us collectively normalize checking in on our friends, expressing genuine care, and actively creating spaces where men feel safe to be fully themselves, without fear of judgment or misinterpretation. The Goodnight Bro phenomenon is more than a fleeting internet trend. It stands as a powerful invitation to redefine masculinity, to heal the pervasive loneliness affecting countless men, and to collectively build a more emotionally intelligent, connected, and ultimately healthier society for everyone.